My boots hit the tarmac, a familiar thud. This time it felt different. Home, my wife Sarah and our two kids waited. Their faces were my true north. I had spent years serving, fighting for a future. Now it was time to build it. Every sacrifice was for them. Mark was there too, a broad smile on his face. My combat brother, we had planned this for years. Phoenix Innovations, we called it, a fresh start, a symbol of rebuilding. Our shared vision was clear. We would create something lasting. Every penny I had saved, every bonus, every payout from my service. It all went into Phoenix. My family's security depended on it. Mark had assured me of the growth potential. We were partners, equal in this venture. I trusted him with everything. The early days were good. We worked side by side just like old times. Our synergy was undeniable. We brainstormed, we planned, we built. Mark handled the day-to-day finances. I focused on strategic partnerships. Our bond felt unbreakable. Then a small detail caught my eye, a discrepancy in a quarterly report. Nothing major, just a few $1,000s miscategorized. I mentioned it to Mark. He brushed it off, a simple accounting error. I accepted his explanation. My trust in Mark ran deep. We had faced death together. A small accounting error seemed trivial compared to that. I told myself it was just a growing pain for a new business. My focus remained on the bigger picture. We were brothers after all. Weeks later, Mark approached me. He needed a significant loan for unexpected operational costs. He called it a temporary cash flow issue. He promised quick repayment. The amount was substantial, more than I was comfortable with. A cold knot formed in my stomach. This was different. My family's future was tied to this. I respected Mark, but this request felt off. The strategic plans we made did not account for such a large, sudden need. A faint unease began to surface. I weighed my options. Mark was my brother. He needed my help. I agreed to the loan. But the conversation left a bitter taste. The absolute trust I once held had a small crack. I began to watch things more closely. My instincts were stirring. A week later, I saw an invoice. It detailed a large payment not to a supplier but to a company I didn't recognize. The address listed was familiar, Mark's new personal office. This was no accounting error. This was a strategic diversion. My calm facade barely held. My focus shifted from building to understanding. Justice would be served. The numbers on the quarterly report were grim. Phoenix Innovations was bleeding money. Despite my efforts, our project timelines stretched and client acquisitions stalled. This was not the growth Mark had promised. A cold dread settled in my gut. At home, the strain was visible. Sarah worried about the bills. I saw the worry in her eyes, the quiet sacrifices she made. My children deserved a secure future. Every ounce of my energy went into keeping our dream afloat, but it felt like bailing out a sinking ship. Then I saw Mark's new car, a sleek, expensive model. He wore designer clothes and spoke of lavish dinners. This was a stark contrast to our company's struggles. My suspicion from the last invoice grew stronger. Something was deeply wrong. He bought a new house too, a sprawling place far beyond what our current business profits could justify. He spoke of investment returns from other ventures, but Phoenix was supposed to be our main venture. The disparity was infuriating. It was a clear sign. I set up a meeting with Mark. I prepared my questions carefully. I wanted answers, not excuses. My voice would remain calm, but my resolve was solid. I needed to understand the financial reality, not his manufactured narrative. I confronted him about the company's performance, the missing funds, his sudden wealth. He waved off my concerns. Market volatility, he said, business challenges. He spoke of my lack of understanding of modern finance. His dismissiveness was a calculated defense. The first call came from a creditor. They mentioned overdue payments, then another hinting at legal action. Mark had assured me all accounts were current. These calls were not market volatility. They were signs of deliberate financial mismanagement. Then the official letter arrived, a notice of impending bankruptcy for Phoenix Innovations. My blood ran cold. The company, my family's future, everything I had invested was on the brink. This was no accident. It was a deliberate outcome. The weight of potential ruin pressed down on me. My family's security was threatened. I had to protect them. The betrayal was no longer just financial, it was a personal attack on everything I held dear. My resolve hardened into steel. I tried to reach Mark again. His phone went straight to voicemail. His office was empty. His evasiveness confirmed it. He was not just negligent, he was actively avoiding accountability. I knew then what I had to do. This was about justice, and I would ensure it was served. The bankruptcy notice was a stark wake-up call. My trust in Mark was shattered. I needed answers, real answers. My military training taught me to gather intelligence. I knew who to call for this kind of discreet investigation. It was time to act. I reached out to an old contact. He was a former military intelligence officer. Now he ran a private audit firm. I explained the situation briefly. He understood the need for discretion. He agreed to look into Phoenix Innovations' finances. I provided him with every financial record I had. Bank statements, invoices, partnership agreements. The auditor worked quietly and efficiently. His team began to sift through the data. I waited, trying to maintain my composure. This was a critical step. Days later, the first report arrived. It was terse and to the point. Unusual transfers detected, it read. Multiple shell entities identified. My gut feeling had been right. This was no mere mismanagement. This was something far more deliberate. The audit dug deeper. They uncovered a systematic pattern. Funds were being siphoned away, not just small amounts but substantial capital. Phoenix Innovations was being bled dry. The scale of the operation was alarming. Then a name appeared repeatedly: Apex Solutions. It was a new company. Its business model mirrored ours exactly, but its financial health was robust. It had secured many of the clients Phoenix had pursued. The connection was too strong to ignore. I reviewed the data myself. Apex Solutions was operating in parallel. It was not just a competitor, it was a parasitic entity. It was built on the foundation of our shared dreams. This was calculated. This was a direct attack on Phoenix. The final audit report confirmed my fears. Mark's name was on the incorporation documents for Apex Solutions. He was the sole owner. He had used Phoenix's resources to build his own empire. The evidence was undeniable. His betrayal was absolute. The full scope of his deception hit me. He had systematically sabotaged our venture. Every loan, every market volatility, every business challenge was a lie. He had planned this from the start. My combat brother had orchestrated my financial downfall. The anger burned, but it was cold, focused. I had the facts now. The truth was exposed. This was no longer a personal grievance. This was a clear case of professional malfeasance and fraud. Justice would be served. I would ensure it. The audit report lay on my desk. It confirmed the full extent of Mark's betrayal. My savings, my dream for Phoenix Innovations, my family's secure future, all of it had been systematically dismantled. A heavy weight pressed on my chest. The crushing reality was hard to bear. I thought of our time in service, the trust we built, the lives we saved. He had known my vulnerabilities, my deep desire to build a stable life after the war. He had used that knowledge coldly and deliberately for his own financial gain. It was a profound personal violation. This wasn't an error or a misunderstanding. It was a calculated strategy. Every loan, every business challenge was a step in his plan. He had built Apex Solutions on the ashes of our shared dream. The sheer audacity of his deception solidified my resolve. The initial shock gave way to a focused, unwavering determination. My emotional pain transformed into a steely resolve. I would not let this stand. My family deserved justice. I would ensure accountability for his actions. My military training kicked in. This was a new kind of operation. My objective was clear: strategic and professional vindication. This was not about personal vengeance. It was about exposing the truth and ensuring legal consequences. I began to meticulously plan my counteroffensive. Every move needed to be precise, every step documented. I would leverage my discipline and strategic mind to dismantle his empire of deceit. This required patience and foresight. The first step was to secure all digital evidence. I backed up every email, every financial file, every communication. I knew the importance of a solid evidentiary trail. This would be the foundation of my case. Next, I reached out to a trusted legal contact. He specialized in corporate fraud. I needed counsel that understood the complexities of financial manipulation. Our initial conversation was discreet, focusing on the legal framework. I then engaged a team of professional forensic accountants. Their job was to follow every penny. They would uncover the hidden transactions, the shell companies, and the full scope of the financial diversion. Their work would be crucial for exposure. The pieces were beginning to fall into place. Mark's web of lies would soon unravel. I had the facts, the legal counsel, and the investigative team. The process would be long, but the outcome was certain. Justice was coming, and I would be the one to deliver it. My team began the meticulous work. We delved into countless financial records. Every transaction was scrutinized. The forensic accountants were thorough. My legal counsel reviewed every contract. We were building our foundation. We traced digital footprints across multiple platforms. Encrypted files were decrypted, hidden ledgers surfaced. Mark's digital trail was extensive. He had left many breadcrumbs. We followed each one carefully. Then we found it, a series of manipulated invoices. Dates were altered, amounts were falsified. These documents proved deliberate intent. They were designed to obscure the truth. This was concrete evidence of his fraud. Our investigation broadened. We identified key individuals. They were within Mark's new company, Apex Solutions. They had facilitated his schemes. Some were former Phoenix employees. Their involvement was now undeniable. The full scope of the financial diversion became clear. Funds were routed through complex channels. Shell companies were used extensively. Mark had systematically drained Phoenix. He had funded his own venture. The pattern was undeniable. My legal team drafted a comprehensive strategy. We focused on breach of contract. Corporate malfeasance was also a key charge. Fraudulent misrepresentation was clearly evident. We would pursue every avenue. Our approach was multi-pronged. I began to consider the public narrative. My reputation was at stake. The looming bankruptcy accusations hurt. I needed to control the information. My name would not be tarnished. I would protect my family's honor. We prepared a strategic communication plan. Key facts would be released cautiously. It was about correcting the record. My team advised careful phrasing. We would ensure the truth emerged. My integrity remained paramount. Mark remained oblivious to our progress. He believed he had won. His public confidence was unwavering. He continued to expand Apex Solutions. He celebrated his perceived victory. His arrogance would be his downfall. Then came the final piece. A hidden clause in an old contract. It linked Mark's personal assets directly. This was a critical discovery. It changed everything. His entire empire was now vulnerable. The net was closing. Our legal team moved swiftly. The comprehensive lawsuit was officially filed. It detailed corporate fraud and investment theft. Mark's actions were now formally challenged. This was the opening salvo in our professional pursuit of accountability. The news of the lawsuit spread quickly. It reached Mark's network. His carefully constructed facade began to show cracks. This was not a minor inconvenience. It was a serious professional and legal threat to his operations. Then came the court order. It mandated a freeze on Mark's personal assets. Apex Solutions accounts were also targeted. This strategic move was decisive. His financial leverage was instantly curtailed. Mark's reaction was immediate and predictable. He was furious. His control over his finances was slipping. He made frantic calls to his advisors. His business operations were now in disarray. The shockwaves were evident across his organization. Initial media reports began to surface. They spoke of significant financial irregularities. They mentioned the surprising involvement of a special forces veteran. The story began to gain traction. Public scrutiny was now unavoidable for Mark. Mark attempted to discredit my reputation. He framed me as incompetent and unstable. He blamed me for Phoenix Innovation's downfall. His narrative was a desperate public attempt. He wanted to shift all accountability. I maintained my composure. My legal team provided clear guidance. We chose to let the overwhelming facts speak for themselves. The evidence was irrefutable. My integrity was not in question. The truth would ultimately prevail. We strategically released key documents. They showed Mark's systematic fraud. The public began to see the truth. His carefully constructed lies began to unravel. The narrative was decisively shifting in our favor. Mark's desperation grew with each passing day. His public image crumbled. His business partners started to distance themselves. The professional consequences were mounting rapidly. His empire was visibly shaking. This was only the initial stage. The legal process would be long and complex, but the foundation we built was solid. Justice would be served. Mark's professional downfall was now an undeniable certainty. The depositions began. Mark sat across from me, his usual swagger replaced by a tense rigidity. My legal team presented the initial financial discrepancies. He tried to dismiss them, calling them minor accounting errors. His voice was less confident than before. I watched him closely. Every denial, every evasive answer confirmed what I already knew. He was cornered. His eyes darted, searching for an escape. He maintained a facade of indignation, but the pressure was clearly getting to him. The unraveling had begun. Then a breakthrough. My investigator found a former Phoenix employee. This person had witnessed Mark's suspicious activities firsthand. They were hesitant at first, fearing retaliation, but the weight of the truth was heavy on them. They wanted to speak. My legal team worked quickly. We secured an immunity agreement for the former employee. Their testimony would be crucial. They had direct knowledge of how funds were diverted. This was not just speculation, this was a witness to his scheme. The witness's deposition was damning. They detailed how Mark created dummy invoices. They spoke of secret meetings and cash transactions. The systematic sabotage of Phoenix Innovations was laid bare. Mark's intricate network of lies was exposed. I prepared for the public hearing. My presentation was meticulously crafted. It would be a detailed account of Mark's scheme. Every piece of evidence, every witness testimony would be presented clearly. The truth would be undeniable. The public hearing was intense. I spoke calmly, presenting the facts. I showed how Mark dismantled our shared dream. The systematic funneling of funds into Apex Solutions was illustrated with irrefutable proof. The room was silent, captivated by the unraveling truth. The story exploded in the media. Headlines screamed about the veteran's betrayal. Mark's true character was now publicly exposed. The extensive nature of his financial deception became front-page news. His carefully constructed image shattered. Mark's attempts to evade accountability grew desperate. He issued public denials, but they were unconvincing. He tried to blame others, further implicating himself. Each move he made only deepened his professional downfall. He was digging his own grave. The consequences mounted. Business partners withdrew. The clients canceled contracts. Apex Solutions, built on deceit, began to crumble. This was not just a legal victory, it was a complete professional vindication. Justice was being served systematically and thoroughly. The courtroom was silent. The judge's voice was clear and firm. He read the verdict, confirming Mark's guilt. The extensive financial fraud was undeniable. Justice had finally arrived. The ruling ordered full restitution of my investment. It also mandated significant professional consequences for Mark. His business licenses would be revoked. His empire built on deceit was crumbling. I immediately began the financial restructuring. My legal team worked diligently to recover my assets. Every penny Mark had siphoned away was meticulously traced. My family's security was my top priority. The official reports cleared my name entirely. My professional reputation for integrity was fully restored. The accusations of bankruptcy were replaced with commendations for my resolve. The truth had set me free. New business opportunities began to emerge. These were genuine partnerships built on trust and shared values. My experience had taught me invaluable lessons. I chose my new associates carefully. Mark faced the severe legal penalties. His professional life was over. The media reported his downfall widely. His actions had led to his complete professional ruin. There was no escaping the consequences. Apex Solutions, his fraudulent company, was completely dismantled. Its assets were seized. The employees, many unknowingly complicit, sought new work. His empire of lies vanished into thin air. I felt a calm satisfaction. This was not revenge, it was justice. The truth had prevailed. The cost was high, but my integrity remained intact. I had secured accountability for my family. My future was now built on unwavering integrity and resilience. I embraced new, trustworthy partnerships. I was forever changed by the betrayal, but I was not broken. My resolve was stronger than ever. Mark's choices cost him everything. My choices ensured justice. He thought he had outsmarted me. He was wrong. The last word was mine, delivered through the unwavering hand of professional consequence.